Winnie boy, what's happening, mate? How's your weekend? We're back, episode 90. What a weekend of footy.
Mate, what a blast to start off the podcast. I didn't expect the intro to work out like that. But, mate, it was a great weekend. Still a little bit tired. You and I went to a picnic yesterday to see Peggy Goo perform. And safe to say we're probably both a little too old for those sorts of events.
Oh, mate, to be honest, I would have enjoyed a picnic on that hill, to be honest. Man, my back is absolutely cooked. I needed to sit down from that. A lot of standing. I mean, standing up for 5 hours straight and moving your hips as you do. You had some serious moves in front of me.
Mate, I can't even speak. My hips are loose. Let me just put it that way. My hips are loose, and they don't lie. I was loving the dancing last night. It was going all right. Bit of Shakira about it. But no, big fan of Peggy Goo. So it was a long time coming waiting to see her. It's been a couple of years now. So
yeah.
It's not everyone's cup of tea, that type of music, but I don't mind Peggy. So it was good to get out there and see that. Which was good.
It was great. It was a lot of people. Like it was jam packed and
13,000, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a great day out. Well, finished it. Yeah, well, didn't even finish too late, so it was pretty good. But a bit tired this morning, getting to work, but.
Definitely felt it. Early start for me this morning, and with the late finish and all that, it was a bit tricky to get up, but it's all part of it, mate. It's all part and parcel. You have a bit of fun. You got to suffer a little bit at the end, don't you?
Exactly right. And we both missed our team's games yesterday. Maybe a positive for one, negative for the other, but we'll touch on them a bit later.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
We'll get to that. No need to. Yeah.
But no, it was a great weekend of footy. Round 3. This is where you sort of start to see some patterns emerge, and the 0-3 teams are they're in more trouble. Like it looks worse from now than it did. You can probably get away with things when you're 0-1, 0-2, but when you're 0-3, it makes it really difficult. And then the teams that are undefeated as well are starting to really show how good they are. So it's good. It's the season's slowly taking shape already, and you can already see who the good teams are. Who the good teams are and who the bad teams are, and geez, there was some interesting performances from a couple, but one team that couldn't afford to go 0-3, and that was the Western Bulldogs, and I knew they wouldn't. They had to get the win, and they did against a very good Sydney team.
I have to say, you did call it last week. I was very bullish on the Swans being 3-0 and making the Bulldogs go 0-3, but yeah, you're right. You called it. You said the Dogs were going to get up. They couldn't do it, and they didn't. So impressive stuff. It was good to see them put on a performance like that. They needed it, I think, for their own confidence, their fans' confidence as well. But they got over the line. It was actually a really good game of footy as well.
Yeah, it was. It was a quality game. They were too good to be 0-3, and it would have been tough for him to claw back. And everyone's expecting him to finish top 4, which I still think they can do. But yeah, I think to win like they did against the Sydney team that's been red hot was great. And great game of footy. And the Bont was sort of slowly getting back to his best as well. So. Great game.
I think the only negative from the game, and tell me what your thoughts are, but the Bulldogs' inaccuracy. It was 9-17 they kicked for the day. I mean, I know there's a classic saying you won't get away with that against good teams, but they did clearly. But that's not going to happen every week. I think that's something they've definitely got to look at.
Yeah, for sure. I thought you were going to mention the umpiring in that game. It was pretty lopsided too.
Yeah, I bash the umpires enough. I don't need to dwell on them too much more than I already do. But yeah, the lopsided number of free kicks that went towards the Bulldogs and not the Swans is ridiculous. Yep. And it's a tough one.
I won't get you too fired up too early.
Save it.
The showdown though, on the Friday night was arguably the greatest ever showdown. Me personally, I think that was unbelievable. It was another quality game of footy, and the Crows looked done, and then lo and behold, Jordan Dawson. What were you thinking when you saw that? I thought he missed. And then it swung back at the last second, and the crowd went absolutely nuts.
That had no right going through the big six. That should have missed. Yeah. I mean, looking at that angle, like you said, straight away off the boot, I'm like, well, Port's finally got the win they've been looking for.
Yep.
And somehow they've found a way to he's found a way to bend it in, and it was absolutely bananas. But I think this showdown needed to be the quality that it was, because I think people were sort of starting to get a little bit over the showdown. It's gotten to that point where it's a little bit lackluster.
Don't say that to Kane Corns.
Yeah, well, I won't say that to Cornsey, but it's a little bit lackluster, and I think it needed to really be a big one, and it was. It didn't disappoint whatsoever. But one of the bigger things, apart from the match-winning goal, was Port. Where are they? They're doing 0-3.
They're in big trouble. I think that their early season, that loss to Hawthorn, probably not as surprising now after that. They should be beating it. They're a much better team than Adelaide. So they definitely should have won that. And 0-3, and they've got Melbourne this week. I think they've got Melbourne, then Carlton. So they're playing 2 undefeated teams 2 weeks in a row. So they're in a bit of trouble, Port. Can't see them. Geez, it's going to take a big turnaround for them to really, get into that premiership contention, into the top 4. But gee, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, then you can't be happy with where you're sitting in that position, especially how many prelims in a row have they made now? A couple?
Yep.
Couple it is, and they haven't been able to get there with home prelims. So I guess this was the year they're probably thinking, nah, we're going all the way. Like, we have to. We absolutely have to. And then to start the year 0-3, you can still recover from this. It's not the end of the season for them, but they're definitely going to have some question marks raised, especially with the thumping to Hawthorn last week, who are a rebuilding side, and then losing to Adelaide, who are also a rebuilding side, albeit after the siren. But it shouldn't have been that close of a margin to begin with. A couple of injuries, but none, I think, that warrant... not enough to warrant, I think, the results that they've been showing.
No. So what? They got Aaliyah out, Charlie Dixon. They're 2 big outs. Huge.
Has Boak been out as well?
No, Boak's playing. So their midfield's almost untouched. It's just those key pillars.
Dersma got dropped, so that's a huge one.
I know, Matt, you love him.
Yeah, love Dersma.
Nah, Charlie Dixon out is huge for him. It really stuffs up their forward line. And then Aaliyah, as we saw last year, was an All-Australian. Is very good down back. So, but yeah, they're going to, I mean, Melbourne this week, Carlton the next. It's going to be a tough. If they go 0-5, their season's definitely done, I'd say.
You don't see anybody recovering from an 0-5 start. So, and it's looking likely to happen.
Yep, for sure. The Cats on Saturday night, against the Pies. Well, this game had everything. Another classic game over the weekend. Collingwood looked home. I thought that, here we go, Collingwood are the real deal this year. They're smashing Geelong. Was it 40 points in the third? Something, it was close to it. They had a fair margin in that third quarter, and then Geelong went bananas in that last quarter. Jeremy Cameron, I think he kicked 4 goals in the last quarter, ended up with 6. Yeah, that was a crazy, crazy finish.
Well, 3/4 time, they were 30 points up, which in most scenarios, that's a win. Like, you don't normally lose a 30
And the way they were playing Collingwood too, they were on fire.
Exactly right. It's almost like Geelong just realised what was happening and thought, well, we can't lose this. It's Joel Selwood's special night. We've just got to pull one out of the bag here. And they absolutely did. And they turned it on. And as a Collingwood fan, I'd be pulling my hair out, I reckon, after watching that match. It was not that I don't even think they necessarily did anything wrong. It was just Geelong was so good in that last quarter that there wasn't much any team could have done to stop them in that form. No way. They were elite. Their movement was so quick, and momentum as we're saying, this momentum is a very hard thing to stop in 2022. So they had it all, and Jeremy Cameron was huge, as I said before, and Joel Selwood was willing his team over the line. And one thing I did you see the Selwood Jack Ginnivan stoush and then that big all-in brawl? I think it was in the third quarter. I did see that. It's funny that Joel Selwood doesn't like players ducking. Yeah. That's weird. I wonder. I can't understand why that would ever bother someone.
But at the same time,
what a cat,
Jack Ginnivan though, with his platinum blonde hair, and not sure. I mean, Kane Corns was getting stuck into him, but after seeing like the way he's just one of those players where it's just like, geez, you'd love to belt him. Yeah,
as an opposition player, you'd probably be looking to target him just because he brings it on himself. But we touched about it before. It's personality in the game, which it's such a fine line because you show no personality, you're boring. You show too much personality, you're a bit of a douchebag. And I'm one that falls into that basket in the sense that I don't like Xavier Dersma because there's the bow and arrow thing, but that's personality. Yeah. You know what I mean? So a lot of people pick and choose, and I know I'm guilty of doing the same thing, but I don't mind Jack Ginnivan. I mean, I'm sure when Richmond play Collingwood, I'll absolutely hate him. But I don't mind what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, you can see why people do get frustrated with him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that sparked that all-in brawl, and it was crazy. There was, I think Collingwood ended up getting, so they kicked a goal, free kick, another goal. So they essentially got 12 points from one goal. So that was crazy, and what a game. And then to see those Collingwood fans as well. I mean. Yeah, we try to be a bit more. We're trying to be a bit more respectful to teams like Essendon and Collingwood this year. But geez,
it's tough. But
when they started chanting that Collingwood thing, and then to see them lose the way they did was pretty funny.
Well, yeah, it's hard not to have a bit of a chuckle. I mean, like I'm not in the best position to do so at the moment, but it is always pretty funny to see one of the big four clubs lose, especially when they're a big rival. and the arrogance that they were probably showing when they were 30 points up, thinking we've got this comfortably. So it was the one time I don't mind seeing Geelong have a big win like that because it was something different. But you mentioned it before, Kane Corns. Did you see what the tweet he put out?
I haven't actually, no.
So Kane Corns tweeted out to Collingwood and said after the game, Collingwood, who gets the GoPro? Which I don't mind that back and forth banter between the club and Kane Corns. I know it's a lot to do with Jack Ginnivan and Cornsey, but I don't mind that back and forth banter. But another thing he said, and I actually disagree with this, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Kane Corns said that Ginnivan hadn't established himself enough as a player to be targeting someone like as respected as Joel Selwood yet. I think the complete opposite. I think that a young player should be targeting those big dogs because that's how you make a name for yourself. I mean, you don't make a name for yourself by, targeting other first gamers or first season players. You go after these big guys and you try and match it with them, and that's how you get better and that's how you make a name for yourself. So I think the exact opposite of Kane Corns when he says you're not a big enough name yet. Well, how do you become a big name?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, I don't know.
Joel Selwood, became a big name by just...
No, absolutely. I mean, so many young players get lauded for showing confidence and doing things that not a lot of young players would do. And I think if he's going to, good on him for having a crack. I like his competitiveness. I like the way, he's got no fear really. He just looks like an absolute pest on the field. Like I feel like playing against him, you'd really hate him.
That Hayden Ballantyne type.
Yeah, exactly. But as a Collingwood fan, you'd love it. You'd love that, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100% you would, because I know if he was on Richmond's list, I'd be loving him.
Yeah, exactly. So, good on him. I like his arrogance and his confidence, but he just looks like an annoying player to me. Anyway, that's my gripe. So, but play on. Also on that Saturday night, the Lions did an absolute number on the Kangaroos, and it says a lot about both teams. I think Brisbane are obviously going to be definitely top four this season by the looks of things early on, and then North, they look like they're going to be bottom two easily.
Well,
at this stage.
I don't see Brisbane losing a game at the Gabba this year. No. So that's one. I think they've really turned it into that fortress they've been wanting it to be now, and I can't see them losing a game up there. But yeah, North Melbourne, far cry from the celebrating team they were after beating a half-manned West Coast side last week, thinking on top of the world. And, good on them for celebrating, but probably could have, calmed it down a notch, especially because they only really beat a top-up team. And this was a real wake-up call. But I really did enjoy what the coach said after the game. I don't know if you heard it.
David Noble.
Yeah. I was careful there because I said John Noble last week, so I was waiting for you to bring it out. What David Noble said, how he said we should be embarrassed as a club from the staff, the admin, players, everything, because it's just not acceptable on any level. And I think as a fan, that's what you want to hear. Coaches get criticised a lot for beating around the bush and saying, I know you were upset with Carlton coaches in the past for doing this, where it's like, yeah, look, we lost, but we're good in this area and this area.
We won the inside 50s.
Yeah, you don't want to hear... obviously you want to look at some of the positives, but when you've lost by over 100 points, there's no positives.
No.
I don't care if you did win the inside 50s or you won, clearances or whatever it was. If you've lost by 100 points, it's embarrassing. And to hear David Noble come out and say it straight out, I think that's what you want to hear as a fan. It's like, yeah, you know what? It is embarrassing, and I'm glad the club knows it because, maybe they'll do something about it now.
Yeah, for sure. Those phone lines would have been running hot at the North Melbourne Footy Club this morning.
And she got out just in time.
I don't want to say it, but yeah, I'm glad I'm not there at the moment. That would have been a tough morning for the membership crew, and I think it's going to be a tough week, really. So they definitely haven't set. They beat West Coast last week, but that turns out to only won by a couple of goals. That's looking worse and worse considering how West Coast played yesterday as well. So yeah, they're not. You could say North aren't in a good place, but I think we all know where North's at, where they're a rebuilding team. They're going to take some time, but I think everyone sort of expected a little bit of improvement from them.
I think we looked at North in a similar way that we're looking at Adelaide and Hawthorn now, in the sense that both rebuilding clubs, but actually impressing and doing some good things, whereas North haven't done either of those yet. No. They're rebuilding, sure, but they haven't shown any good signs from what I've seen. No,
they haven't really been. They lost to Hawthorn by a couple of goals in round one. So that's probably their most competitive game. You can almost not even count the West Coast game, just considering what West Coast had on the park. And then this game, I don't know. It's a bad start, but I rate Noble as a coach, and I think they'll bounce back. They'll eventually get it together, but yeah, tough start for the young Roos. The Blue Vegas.
Well, I think before we touch on the Hawthorn-Carlton game over the weekend, which I know you're very eager to talk about, Marcus, we're gonna bring in a special guest, the first guest we've had for this season in terms of the fans. It's not a cooter, but it's one of our
first fan.
It's the first fan guest we've had for the year, which we've been looking forward to getting them back on, and couldn't think of a better way to start the year with. That's it, super fan, and none other than Nick Content. Nick, welcome to the Pressure Point Podcast, mate. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you very much for having me, Quinn and Marcus. It is an absolute pleasure.
Mate, it's been a long time coming, but we'll talk about how we know each other. Obviously, you and I went to school together, so we've obviously known each other through that way. But then you went down to the Elsternwick Football Club, which is, as the listeners would know, where Marcus and I now play football, and that's how you got to know Marcus as well. Tell us a bit about your time at the Wicks. You've been there for a few seasons now, haven't you?
Yeah, so went down to the Wicks in 2016. Me, Glocker, Driz. Just three DLR boys just wanting to, change teams. And main driver for me to go to Elsternwick was, of course, because my dad had played there and had captained the senior side back when he played. So he played 200-odd games. My uncle and my other uncle, so dad's two brothers, also played at the club. So it was awesome to be able to head down there with Drizzle and Glocks, and then just to see the growth and all of the other DLR boys and just guys that are in our age bracket coming down just to have fun with their mates has been bloody awesome. So it's good to see.
No, it's been huge, and obviously round one was just on the weekend, and lucky enough to put on the jumper alongside you on the weekend. We had a good win, which is a good start to the season. You must be pretty stoked with that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's always good to start the year with a big thumping. So we've obviously carried our form into Division 3, which is good. It was, the first half, we were on top of them, but it was still quite physical. And then I guess we just ran away with it in the second half. So it was good to, for all of us to be consistent throughout the day and just, run over the top of them. And it was a good day for the club as well with, the women's, the resis, the seniors and thirds all playing on the same ground. So, awesome to kick off round one in that way.
Perfect. What are your honest thoughts on Quinn's performance on the weekend? He tells me he did all right in his senior debut.
I did like the Quindle's performance. I like his, and I'm not just saying it because he's invited me to the podcast, but I did like Quinn's forward pressure. In the forward line, I thought he's a little nippy bloke down there. So he puts on good pressure and manages to sneak a few goals. Every so often, which is good.
I appreciate that, mate. You put a little bit too much emphasis on me being little, but I take it either way. I appreciate that. You had a great game yourself, mate. Marcus is trying to have a little bit of a dig at me there with that question there, but what about this is rich from someone that can't even get on the park at the moment, so we got to try and get him on the ground.
I'm old. It's all right. I'll be back there soon, mate.
Using that as excuse. Well, obviously we'll talk about something then that Marcus can't relate to. And speaking of something Marcus can't relate to, is we've both seen our club win numerous premierships, and the Hawks obviously were probably the best team in the modern era. Talk us through what it was like being a Hawthorn supporter through that time period. I know for our group of mates anyway, there's a famous moment where you're on TV going absolutely bananas at one of the umpires when you guys, I'm pretty sure, was 6 goals up in a grand final. But tell me what it was like for you watching the Hawks win all those flags.
Pretty amazing. It's, for most people, it's a once in a lifetime thing. So very fortunate to be able to see 4 of them, and and I just got to give credit to Dad for always just having our memberships on the go and buying all the tickets and taking us along to all the finals, all the grand finals, and I guess just getting to experience, Luke Hodge taking away 2, Norm Smith, Surioli taking his, and even Brian Lake, when he joined the club, getting a Norm Smith that year. It was just a fantastic time to be a fan. It was just, you're just witnessing greatness, and it's just, in itself. So, it was very, very exciting. Love probably watched the '08 grand final about 20 times. I've probably watched the third quarter about 50 times. But yeah, I reckon 2014 takes the cake for me when, what you were alluding to before, when it wasn't an umpire I was losing my shit at. It was actually Lance Franklin when he kicked it out on the full in the third quarter. I just happened to be caught on TV 4 rows from the front, giving him the double bird. So that was, that's something that everyone caught on to relatively quickly.
I'm going to track down this footage. I want to see this. You should have showed me before we got him on.
I got to try to find it myself. We were at one of the boys' places that day, and when we just switched on, we see Conts on the TV, and we we're going, "Oh, look at him! He's going absolutely off." But that's right. I forgot it was about Buddy. But no, fair enough. He left the club, so all fair play. All fair play.
Beautiful. What about, so, I mean, you were saying you've seen 2008 a fair bit. Would you say that that's your favourite premiership you've seen out of the, I mean, you've got a fair bit to choose from. Would you say '08, the first one's the best one?
I think, or probably because 2008, I was only 12 years old, so I still appreciate it. But I think 2014 takes the cake. I think we came in as we'd just beaten Port Adelaide in a prelim where we're up by about 5 goals going into the fourth quarter, and we nearly lost the prelim. And then, Sydney were coming in pretty red hot, and just the performance from the boys and just the physicality and just how aggressive we were all day, and just to put on that scoreboard pressure was just just great to be a part of. So that takes the cake for me, just that whole round of performance. But I mean, in that time period of when we were making grand finals and winning them, definitely the greatest game I've ever been to was that 2013 preliminary final against Geelong when we beat them for the first time since the '08 grand final. So that was very special to be there and witness that live.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I mean, I'm so jealous just hearing all this, and you two, all your flags and stuff. But let's move on to the modern day Hawks, and things are a bit different now. You're not at your glory days as what you used to be. How would you sum up the way the Hawks have been? Let's say over the last 12 months, with Clarko leaving, Sam Mitchell taking over. How would you how's the experience as a Hawthorn fan these days?
I guess exciting, but just inconsistent. And I guess you're going to get that inconsistency with, you've got a bunch of young talent coming through. So, they've not at that maturity level yet where they're able to string along, those consistent games week in, week out. Last year, was really, really inconsistent, but, had shown promising signs. And I think coming into this year, I know we're only three rounds in, but CJ, having Sicily back, Will Day, Scrimshaw, our back line, and chucking Frost in there as well. Our back line's really, really strong. And I'm just really liking the way that we're playing footy at the moment. It's exciting. We've got our youngest team since 2005. We're competing really well. To be 41 points down yesterday, and just to fight back, and get in front and then just lose in the last little bit there. Super proud of the effort, and I think Sam Mitchell is doing wonders, especially for the younger kids. How it all went down with Clarko, I wasn't too pleased about, but that's out of our control as supporters. But I think Mitchell just has a way of connecting with the younger group. I think I saw this story heard about this story where CJ was playing Box Hill, and Mitchell brought him into his office or whatever and just looked him dead straight in the eyes, why the hell aren't you playing senior footy? And I think he's able to pose those type of questions to the younger blokes and makes them really think about, are they putting in all the work they need to be putting in, and just, I guess, is that motivator for them? So, I think he's absolutely the right man in charge for this young group of boys, which would be good.
Yeah, well, I mean, you couldn't have said anything. I completely agree with all that. And I guess, you touched on yesterday's game. How did you, it was a bloody good effort from the Hawks to, 41 points down against a Carlton team that was very hot early, and they've been in some ripping form. How would you, do you see that as a disappointing that you still lost by a point, or do you see that as more progress being made to a pretty strong start to the season?
Yeah, I think it's it's disappointing in the moment, but it's definitely more progress that's been made. You look back to I guess the success that we had in those premiership years, it's like, 2010 we lost the semi-final to Kangaroos. 2011 we just lost the prelim to Collingwood. 2012 we lost the granny to Sydney. And I know it's a completely different scale, but these types of losses can do wonders for the club, and at least the boys know now that you're 41 points, you've got your back against the wall, but at least they know that they've got that fight in them, and I think it would have given them that much more confidence that they had going in, that they are up to the challenge when their backs are against the wall. Would have been good to get the chockies. It wasn't the case, but when we do have another game like that and we do get over the line, it's gonna do the boys big things for their confidence. But no, it's good to see how the Baggers are going. The Blues are very, very exciting at the moment. Just being there yesterday, their first quarter was bloody unreal. Bloody Chris Marinas, if he's listening to this, wouldn't shut his mouth. I think someone at half time just sewed his lips shut, and he did not say a word from half time onwards until the final siren. So it was good to have him shut up for a bit. But no, the Baggers were great. They were impressive. But yeah, it's just good to see the Hawkers put up a fight with them.
No, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest things that you can take away from at least the first few games. The fight has been enormous, and a lot of rebuilding clubs tend to just sort of roll over and go, we're rebuilding, just let that happen. But you guys just seem to still want to really desperately win games of footy. It doesn't matter where you are in the ladder compared to the other team, which is great. And you saw that the week before with the win against Port Adelaide over there. I mean, we were ones that didn't really give you guys a chance to beat Port Adelaide in Adelaide, and you guys just came out and absolutely thumped them. Yeah. So that's huge. Before we let you go, the last couple of days there's been a bit of news around Cyril Rioli. I'm not sure how much you've read into this because it's only pretty recent news about him having some racial allegations against the club, saying he felt a little bit segregated and all that. Have you read too much into that? And what are your thoughts on the whole Cyril situation?
No, I kind of read bits and pieces of an article that was put up on Saturday. It's my take on it is that I haven't dug too deep into it, but it is disappointing. Like, Cyril is an absolute legend of our club, and for him to come out and make statements where he's told us that he wasn't supported by the club, or supported in the sense that just, I guess, the cultural awareness wasn't isn't up to scratch, and to make him and his family I guess feel that they don't want to put their hand out for a club where he matured into an AFL player, and a great one at that. Is extremely disappointing from, a Hawthorn Football Club perspective, and hopefully, the right people can kind of mend those fences and they can, kind of build that relationship back with the club, because you don't want to hear that from your legends. I think, he was one of my favourite players, and I'm sure he was a favourite player to a lot of other blokes and, girls and everything like that. So, it's disappointing. So hopefully, over time that fence gets mended, and it goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Hawthorn legend. He's a Hawthorn man, so it'd be a shame if things weren't patched up there. That's for sure. But yeah, before we let you go, Cons, we're doing our favourite segments. They're called the Pressure Cooker. It'll be the first one for a fan this season. So I'm not sure if you've heard them before, but just a couple of quick fire questions before we finish off, and then we'll wrap up. So I'll kick us off here. If you had to delist one player on your team, who would it be?
Ooh, at the moment, oh god, one player. From the senior side, Finn McGuinness hasn't done enough yet.
Nah, love that. If you could add one player from another list, who would it be? From any other club?
Chuck Tom Lynch in there. We need a key forward.
Interesting.
Yeah, love that choice. Love that choice. Big Daddy.
Which team do you love beating the most?
Ooh, which team I love beating the most? It would have to be Geelong. Absolutely.
I thought that might be.
I would have been disappointed if you said anything else. And the last question, and arguably the most important question, who's your favourite Pressure Point co-host?
I'm going to have to go with, no ifs, buts, or no doubt about this, that it's absolutely Marcus.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
Yes.
I think I'm down on the tally now again.
I think that's at 2-0 for the year. So
yeah, this
beautiful.
isn't a good start to the year. But all right, mate, it's been look, let's get him off the air. We've had enough. Nah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, and it's been good to get some more Hawthorn representation on the podcast because we've probably been lacking it a little bit. And I thought when we thought who's Hawthorn, I went straight to you. I know you love your Hawks and you've been a big fan of them for a long time. So it's been great to get your insight and really appreciate you jumping on.
Awesome, boys. Thanks for having me, and all the best with the podcast.
Thanks, Cons.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Well, mate, how good was that? How good was that?
Yes.
It was nice to have the Hawthorn perspective on. And I know you've got a little bit more to say about Carlton because you didn't really get much of a word in there as much as you would have liked. Content said some nice things about the Blues, but...
he had plenty of content, didn't he?
God. I might edit that out. That sucked. But give us your thoughts on the game. Obviously, the Blues 3-0 at the moment. Uncharted territory for Carlton supporters. In recent years, you'd be over the moon at the moment, and like we've said in the last couple of weeks, you're playing some really scary football at the moment.
Yeah, that game yesterday was a tale of two halves, really. That first quarter, I thought, like we are a serious threat this year. Like I thought, here we go. Like we're a massive shout to go some serious places this year. And then I don't know. Like I think we definitely dropped off a little bit, but at the same time, I do think Hawthorn are a better team. So their early season form is definitely proving to be correct, I think. So they were showing the team that they're going to be. So they were impressive as well. But and then it just turned into an arm wrestle after 3/4 time, really. Hawthorn, really just chipped away at us. But for us to hold on and show that grit and end up holding on by a point was super, considering our back line had been decimated with McGovern going out. Sard was laid out with the health and safety protocols, and Oscar McDonald went out. So 3 of our starting players in the back 6 weren't there, and we had to debut a couple of young players. So it was, backs against the wall to a certain extent with our injuries, and for the boys to come out and do that and hold on and go 3-0 was great. And I still can't believe that we're 3-0 and playing the way we are. I can say it's hard to believe, but not really, because we had to. Like, we sort of expected Carlton to be a much better team this year. But to be 3-0 and the way we're playing as well is it's great to watch. And I'm definitely buzzing about it. It's an exciting time to be a bagger, and hopefully it can continue.
Someone's got to play devil's advocate here. Is there an issue with the fact that you guys blew a 41-point lead? I know it was a tale of two halves.
Definitely, yeah.
That's a big margin to blow, and I know that's been an issue at Carlton in the past. Is that something you're concerned about going forward? I know a gentleman I work with at the moment, I'll shout him out, Tony Papa, his name is. He won't listen, I know, but he was telling me today he's a big Carlton man, like diehard, classic Carlton supporter, and he was just saying how he's still not convinced because he said, like, teams don't blow 40-point leads. I disagree with him. I still think you guys are a great side. But do you think it's an issue?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when we were 40 points up, I thought we were going to win by 60, 70 points. It was looking like at that stage. And then, it sort of felt like the old, I remember saying, it felt like the old Carlton was back, where I thought we were going to lose. When Gunston kicked that goal, put him in front in the last quarter, I think that was it. They were running all over us. But then at the same time, I think the old Carlton would have lost that game. So I feel like for us to hold on after getting absolutely run all over and a massive momentum shift in that game, for us to hold on and steady it is something great. And I think that's progress more than anything, to be honest. Yes, blowing a 40-point lead is bad, but to still hold on and without the outs that we had, I think is a positive to take from that.
No, 100%. I agree. It definitely is a positive. Last year, you guys would have blown that match.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a step up in the right direction. But had to play devil's advocate, mate. Can't be all positives.
No, fair enough, mate. No, I mean, I was not in a positive mindset during that third quarter, fourth quarter. I was not well watching that, especially not watching it at the ground and at a mate's place with about 15 or 20 other blokes that hate Carlton. So that was a very tough watch yesterday. But glad we got the win and we move on and hopefully go 4-0 next week. So it's great start, and we'll cherish every single win. Doesn't matter how we get them, Quinn. Isn't that right?
That's it, mate. A win is a win. It doesn't matter how many points you win by.
But your mob didn't get the win, and that is the negative part of the weekend from both our teams. Run us through that game yesterday against the Saints.
Well, if you watch the first half of that game, it was actually one of the better games, was shaping up to be one of the better games of the round. It was a really contested first half of footy, really high scoring as well. I think it was like 8 goals apiece at halftime, which is really good. You want to see those high scoring games, and we love that. And then St Kilda just sort of dismounted us and took us it blew us away a little bit. I mean, we were up at 3/4 time, but you could see the Saints were playing better footy. And then they just, in the last quarter, they overrun us. Ben King kicked his 4 goals. We were undisciplined again, giving away 50s for easy goals in the goal square that we didn't need to do. And I don't know, we couldn't stop their momentum when they picked up on it. And that was really disappointing to see, because that's something we've been known to be able to do, is stop other teams' momentum with our pressure and our ability to hunt, which we did last week really well. So I had a lot of confidence we're going to keep doing it. But Saints were just too good on the day, and ended up winning by 33 points. Yeah,
that was super impressive from the Saints. Definitely wasn't expecting that. It was just an absolute rampage that last quarter. I remember seeing the scores on the phone, and the Tigers are up, and I thought the Tigers would hold on here, but then the Saints went absolutely went nuts in that last quarter. Max King on fire, getting some interesting comparisons post that game, which we'll also talk about. But he was very good, and even Brad Crouch was really good for the Saints. It was probably one of his best games since crossing over from there. So, but Max King is the flavour of the weekend. It seems, from a lot of pundits out there.
Oh, he absolutely is, and rightfully so. He had a fantastic game. I'm not denying that, and I'm probably going to sound real salty right now because he dismantled our backline. But the comparisons of Max King to Buddy Franklin that I've been seeing these last couple of days, saying King is the next Buddy, is an insult to Buddy Franklin. I mean, he's going to be a star, Max King, no doubt in my mind. But to even compare him to Buddy Franklin, arguably the best forward we've ever seen, is a joke for me. And someone even, I think, called him the best forward in the comp right now, which he's not. I mean, I know you'll say this, but I think Harry Mackay's a better forward than him. Jeremy Cameron's a better forward than him. Tom Hawkins is a better forward than him.
Yep.
Like, I could probably name a few more as well. I'm just saying he's a gun, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's not that level of good just yet.
No,
and I think we were pointing it out. He's had games where he's kicked 1-4 and 1-5. He's not as that, when he's hot, he's hot. But if he's not on, then you just don't know what to expect from him. And I think until he finds that consistency, we can't be comparing him to some of these big names, especially Buddy Franklin.
Yeah. I feel like he's definitely still a work in progress. I feel like he is a gun. Like he's definitely getting better every season he's been in the competition. And I think he's going to be, eventually will be one of the best forwards in the game, if not the best. Not right now. No. I could definitely pick a handful of forwards that are better than him at the moment. Not taking anything away from the way he's been playing. He's been great, but I just don't think he's quite at that level just yet.
No, I mean, he's had 2 brilliant games in a row. I'm pretty sure last week he kicked 4 goals as well, and I think 3 in the space of 2 minutes.
Yep.
Like he's a star, like no doubt whatsoever. But just, these comparisons that I've been seeing have been blowing my mind. If I was Buddy Franklin looking at this and seeing that apparently this guy's the next you, I'd go, this guy's not kicking 1,000 goals. You know what I mean? I don't see the similarities whatsoever. To me, that's quite frustrating.
Yeah. No, superstar, no doubt about that. But just, don't think he's quite at that, best forward in the competition, Buddy Franklin in the making type player just yet. But
no chance.
But wouldn't surprise me if he gets there one day. All right, mate, let's move on to round 4. Some big games this weekend, and still got the Thursday nights happening. We've got Port Adelaide and Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval, as we spoke about earlier. Port 0-3, Melbourne 3-0. Quite easily the best team in the competition at the moment, you'd say. Oh, Port, they dropped this, which we're probably expecting them to. It's honestly hard to see Melbourne losing a game this year the way they've been playing. Do you give them any chance?
No, I don't. Normally I would say Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide, but Hawks smashed them there and they just lost to the Crows. I know it's their home ground as well, but I don't give them any chance against the D's.
No. I think the D's...
It's a pretty quick one from mine.
Yeah. Just skim over it. Friday night, we've got Geelong and Brisbane. This will be a good game.
Huge.
At GMHBA.
This could honestly be a tale of whichever stadium it was being played at would be the difference in who's going to win. And this one's being played at GMHBA, so Geelong's home game, which definitely gives them the advantage. And I don't lose very often down there at all. But I'm going to go on a big call and say the Lions are going to beat them. I still think the Lions are a better team. And if Geelong do what they did last week against Collingwood and sort of let Brisbane get the leap over them, Brisbane aren't going to let Geelong come back like they did against Collingwood. Brisbane are too good of a side for that. So I think the Lions will get them.
Yep. Lions as well. I think, Geelong much better on the weekend, but Brisbane, they are looking ominous. And, I think them and Melbourne are the two best teams in the competition at the moment. Saturday afternoon, we've got Sydney and North Melbourne. Just a quick one here.
Yeah. I don't know how anyone would mount a case for North in this situation, especially at the SCG.
Could it be back-to-back 100-point losses?
Oh, it could be. That could be a big call.
That could be a big call. I'll save it.
You save it.
I might have already said it.
Yeah, you might have already said it, but we'll save it. But Sydney, by a country mile for me.
Saturday twilight, we've got Collingwood and West Coast at Marvel.
Why Marvel? This doesn't even concern me, and it's
because you blokes are playing at the G that same night.
I know, but why fixture it that way then? Have that game on a Sunday. Why is Collingwood? I don't understand why clubs who have their home games at the G have to have some of one home game a year at Marvel Stadium. No one wants. I don't know. I don't understand it. But either way, it doesn't matter who's going to win because Collingwood will take this one. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to mount a case for West Coast against anyone at the moment until they get their full squad back. So. Yeah, Collingwood for me as well. Richmond and the Doggies at the G, as we just said, on the Saturday night. This is going to be a very interesting game. Both teams 1-3. Either team really can't afford to be 1-4, to be honest. So it's going to be a very interesting battle Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. I mean, it's hard to pick Richmond at the moment after what we saw against St Kilda. But for me, it just depends on who Richmond gets back personnel-wise. If we get couple of handy inclusions that we're potentially going to get, then I could give us the edge because we do tend to get the wood over the Bulldogs. We did last year when they were flying on top of the ladder and we were nowhere near it and we somehow beat them. So I've seen us do it before, especially at the G. I'm going to go the Dogs though. I mean, how do you look past the Dogs at the moment? Like I think they've found their bark again, and they'll be roaring for the rest of the year. Yeah,
I think the Dogs. I think the Tigers being at the MCG definitely helps, but I think the Bulldogs just I feel like they've got their form back and they'll get the job done there. Also on Saturday night we've got Freo and GWS, which will also be a good game at Optus Stadium. I think it'd be a very tight one. This hard one to pick.
This could be one of the better games of the round that we see.
Yeah,
Freo and GWS, and being at Optus Stadium, you always lean towards the WA home side, but I think the Giants are just a better team at the moment. And I'm going to give it to them. I reckon they're just going to get the job done.
I'm going to go Freo just because it's at Optus Stadium. They were impressive in the derby, so I think they'll get the job done there. But very hard. I think it's going to be a real tight contest up there. Sunday arvo, we've got Essendon and Adelaide at Marvel. Another interesting game too.
Yeah, geez. I mean, Essendon need to win this.
Yeah,
don't
they do.
They can't really afford to drop this one, and Adelaide are they're almost scary because there is no pressure on them to do anything good. They just play the footy they want to play and there's no real backlash as to how they perform. So it's scary, but I don't see Essendon losing at Marvel against travelling Adelaide.
Yeah, I think Essendon have to win. I mean, there's been the excuse that they've played 3 decent teams to open the season. If they can't beat Adelaide at Marvel, then I think it's, I think Essendon are probably as bad as what people are saying if they can't beat Adelaide. Yeah. But I don't think they are as bad as what their ladder position suggests.
Well, they did really only have that one bad loss to Geelong.
Yeah,
they lost by 60-something points. Then they played Brisbane the next week, and I think they got within 22 points, I believe it was. And then on the weekend, obviously, they played the Ds, and they lost by 29. So respectable margins against teams like Brisbane and Melbourne.
Yeah.
But that Geelong one was probably the embarrassing one, but I don't think they'll lose to Adelaide over at Marvel.
Yeah. Hawthorn and St Kilda at the MCG. This will also be another great game.
Hawks going to be looking to bounce back really strong.
Yeah.
Or St Kilda just going to continue that flying form. It's going to be a real tough one to pick, isn't it? It's going to be interesting. At Hawthorn, are they still going to be able to be without McAvoy? Because that's going to be big.
I think he's going to be out for a while, I think.
Yeah, well, with St Kilda with Marshall and Paddy Ryder back on the side now, I reckon Saints will get this one. I think that ruckman duo really helps, and I reckon they're going to provide the midfielders with a lot of good delivery. So, for me, the Saints.
Yeah. I wanted to pick the Saints, but I don't know. I think being at the MCG sort of sways it towards Hawthorn. I think St Kilda love Marvel, and then the Hawks Man, they were pretty good yesterday at the G, and they have been good, the first 3 rounds. So I'm going to go the Hawks.
I like that.
Yeah, tight one.
Good.
Tight one.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
No, it's good. I like when we disagree. It's, it doesn't look like we're just following each other's picks.
Make sure we disagree on this last game then.
I think I do already.
Gold Coast Carlton at
Mate,
Metricon.
they're your bogey team.
Oh, no.
Gold Coast are the bogey team for the Blues, mate.
They are. They actually are.
Metricon Stadium as well.
We hate playing them there.
Mate, and the Gold Coast, they like I said
They
last
like
week, they're
playing there.
trying to make Metricon that fortress they've been looking for it to be, and this would be a massive statement for them if they could do it.
You think they will?
I don't think they will.
I thought we were disagreeing.
Yeah, I want to disagree, but if I'm being genuine, I don't see them beating
Yeah.
Carlton at the form that they're in at the moment. But, geez, I mean, if anyone was going to do it, pull an upset this week, I think it would be the Suns purely because they are your bogey team and it is in Metricon, which they do love. But I still think the Blues will win.
Yeah, I mean, we simply have to win this game. We can't be going 3-0 then dropping a game to the Gold Coast in round 4. That would definitely be a step backwards. So yeah, I think we have to win. But yeah, I'm definitely not confident just given our recent history against the Suns at Metricon. We always lose there by either a kick after the siren or a goal in the last minute or the last 10 seconds or we get pumped. So but yeah, hopefully this new Carlton team in 2022 is different to that and we get the job done and go 4-0. Could you believe it? Crazy.
No, I couldn't believe it, that's for sure. I can't.
You can't. All right, well, let's move on to everyone's favourite segment. It is Crimea River.
Yeah, we're back with...
Thank you, JT.
Yeah, we're back with Crimea River. I do want to thank JT for that one, for giving us the rights to use that song. It's an absolute privilege to use that. We'll get into it. I had a few that I was ticking over my brain this week and seeing which one I wanted to use the most, and I landed on flopping purely because it affected the Richmond game on the weekend, so it affected me a lot more personally. But flopping in general is one that shits me up the wall. And I'll start by saying the incident that brought this to my attention was the Marlon Pickett little push and shove with St Kilda's Dan Butler. And if you look at the footage, they're having a good old push and shove, classic football, nothing untowards, just pushing, shoving. Marlon gives one more push. Dan Butler decides to drop like a sack of shit and hit the ground. Umpire pays a 50-metre penalty to Ben Long, who's just outside the 50-metre arc, goes straight to the goal square, kicks a goal. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason Richmond lost the game, so I know I'm going to get people going, oh, you're just salty you lost. That's not the reason. But that is just such a bad look on the game. And yes, I'm aware that Dylan Grimes has been known to do that before, so I'm not biased and think that Richmond players don't do it because they do, but I don't enjoy seeing it regardless. I think it's a bad look on the game. It's a form of cheating, really. Because if the umpire's not watching closely and he just turns around and sees you've dropped like a sack of shit, well, you don't do that, normally unless you've been hit pretty hard. So that's why they give the free kicks or the 50-metre penalties. And I think if you're milking those, there's a difference between being clever and bending the rules and just straight out cheating. And I think flopping is straight out cheating, and I don't like seeing it in the game. Yeah,
no, I like it, mate. That's good.
You like that one?
I do like it. Yeah, I mean,
you saw the Dan Butler one. What are your thoughts? Because I could have a biased opinion, so I want to ask a mutual supporter. Did you think that was a flop, or do you reckon?
Yeah, it was definitely a flop because they were pushing and shoving each other for 15, 20 seconds before that. Butler just decided to fall over on that push, and it got paid a free kick. If Pickett fell over, it probably would have been his free kick.
Yeah, so I guess that's what bothered me, because you could see Dan Butler gave Pickett a real hard shove and Pickett turned around and went bang, one more, and he dropped. And it's like, come on, mate. Like, push and shove is a part of the game. Then you're gonna take it out of the game by doing that, because people aren't going to even bother with it anymore if they know that someone could just drop like that and give away a free kick. So it's a part of the game. Let's leave it like that, but not the flopping.
Yep. No, I agree, mate. That's a good one, and hopefully gets stamped out. I mean, they're giving out fines for it, so
if he doesn't get fined, Dan Butler, because it's the only incident that I saw over the weekend. There could have been others, but if he doesn't get fined, then it doesn't really send any kind of message, does it? It just lets people get away with it. Exactly. And you have to be, blind to not know that was a flop.
No, exactly.
He got up and laughed.
He did, yeah.
So,
were they they're ex-teammates too, aren't they? Just.
I think just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just.
For half a season.
Yeah, well, because that's right. Pickett came through halfway through the year. So, just. But Dan Butler didn't play any games in the back half of that year. So
true. All right. Do you want my big call?
I do want your big call. I mean you kind of gave it away, but we want the big call.
The big call
is... The fans want it. The people want it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. unfortunately, and it pains me to say it, but I do think Sydney will do a number on North and give them back-to-back 100-point losses, which will be disastrous for a young rebuilding team with a supporter base that is crying out for improvement and see their team win some games. So, but yeah, I think unfortunately North are going to cop it again this week. I hope they don't, but I think Sydney coming off a loss as well will be eager to bounce back.
Do you see Buddy kicking the magic 13 again?
13.
13.
He did that against North, didn't
13.
he? Yeah.
He did. It
Thanks,
was
Hutto.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's actually a favourite of our good friend Nick Content, who was on the show just before.
Yep.
He loves that broadcast call, and for those that know why, they know why, and for those that don't, I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, he loved it. Yeah, but he was still at Hawthorn at that stage too.
He was, yes, correct. So that's my big call, and that's pretty much us, mate. Round 3 in the books, round 4 coming up. Footy's great, love and life.
For some.
But
you know what? I was talking about it with someone the other night, yesterday, while we were at Piggy together at that picnic festival we attended. And we were talking about it, and I was just saying, footy has the ability to absolutely rip your heart out, and it has the ability to make you the happiest person in the world. And I think that's why we love it, even when you're losing. And I'm going on a bit of a down slump at the moment with the Tigers, but you keep going every week because it's what you love. And I think a lot of people feel the same way that we do. I know we're in the similar boat in terms of our passion for the game, and it sparks something that not a lot of other things can do.
Exactly, and it brings people together. It's a great conversation starter. You can talk for hours about it, and it's a great opportunity to catch up with people, whether you go into the game or go into a pub or go into someone's house to watch it. Like it's just it's great. I mean, you made so many friendships and so many memories just from the sport alone. So it's crazy the amount of emotions you go through. I mean, I had all different emotions during yesterday's game, and hopefully there's not too many like that. But at the same time, we love it. That's what we love about the game. How we can bring you so far up, and then also bring you so far down. So it's
one
great.
of a kind.
Yep, absolutely. But that's it, mate. It's nice to end on a bit of an emotional note like that. And
it was very randomly, inspirational. And
not sure where it came from, but we love it. Bit like footy, mate. That's what it is.
Here we go.
We're back to where we started.
Not again. We've done it once. That's enough. Let's move on.
All right, let's wrap up. Spotify, YouTube, podcasts. You know what to do. Subscribe, follow, rate, review, good or bad.
All the good stuff.
Whatever you
and
please.
Bad stuff.
Yep. We'll chat after round 4.